So a couple of days ago, I have been perusing, shall we say, through my Steam library in order to try and find a game to play. And originally, I was gonna lean into playing through the Resident Evil games because I've never really played through them before. But a game popped up in my eyesight, it popped up in my line of sight, and from the moment I saw it, my brain immediately just kind of had like a spark of nostalgia, and I kind of went, I just got to play this again. I just have to pick this up again because I have so many memories of loving it. And that game, ladies and gentlemen, is Dead Rising. Now, this here is a game in which you are a photojournalist by the name of Frank West, and you must make your way throughout Willamette Mall in order to rescue survivors from this zombie apocalypse, figure out what exactly is going on, why are there zombies everywhere, and in general cause absolute chaos as you running up and down all of the aisles and halls and shops, laying waste to all of the undead that lie before you. And in general, this is an incredibly fun time just to explore and run around in, honestly. Like, I could spend legitimately hours just exploring the mall, just going into all the shops, seeing what every shop has, what kind of items I can pick up and use as a weapon, because basically everything in this game is available as a weapon that you are able to use, which is really super duper cool if I do say so myself. And in general, the game is just weirdly entertaining in a lot of ways that you would be surprised at, especially given how dated some of the mechanics can feel. For example, when you're using the likes of a gun to shoot zombies' heads off and get this really satisfying splooshing sound effect whenever you get headshots with a shotgun, it's amazing. You can't move while you're aiming. You have to kind of like feet in the ground, plant yourself, and aim, which is very tricky. It's very similar to Resident Evil 4, the original Resident Evil 4, I should say, if anyone's played that, in terms of how it mechanically works when you're aiming. But ultimately, the main goal of the game is to go through the main story mode, which is called 72-hour mode. And right from minute one, you get a time limit to figure out what is going on within this place. Try to go through all the main story, try to rescue as many people as you can, and get to the helicopter pad on time at the end of the 72 hours in order to escape. And genuinely, it's actually quite surprising because normally when I get video games that have these kind of timed mechanics in them where I know I have a time limit on top of my head and I know I gotta do this and that within a certain time frame, it tends to usually stress me the hell out. Like, I normally don't like this type of mechanic in games. But for some reason, in the case of Dead Rising, I actually really love it. I love how it's integrated here because it's never too much to make me feel like I can't do everything. But at the same time, it is something that makes me think every time I go out of my safe room, try and figure out a good plan of attack on where I can go in order to save the most people and do the most things before I come back to save the game and restock. It's actually really cool how it's built up, and I honestly love it. But one of the things I will say I do not love about this game is the AI. My God. So, as I've already mentioned, as you're progressing throughout the course of this mall, you are going to come across survivors, and these will have little mini missions usually attached to them. For the most part, it is just the case of either give them something and they'll follow you, or talk to them enough and they'll follow you. It's usually something very basic like that. But they can make you pull your hair out, I'll tell you that much, because obviously you got hordes upon hordes of zombies just littered throughout the course of the mall. You have to navigate a group of these guys back to your safe room across the mall throughout these zombies, which wouldn't be a big problem if it weren't for the fact these guys are dumb as rocks, to the point that I think it's intentionally done this way. For example, there are some survivors who will have different personality traits. Some are more courageous than others, some have more of an ego than others, and some are more cowardly and are a lot more timid. And this plays a role in how easy they are to navigate across the mall. For example, if you get a really cowardly person, they will constantly stop and cry as you're trying to get them, and you're like, come on, get a bloody move on already, and they will just freeze in place a lot. These are the worst of the survivors because you will pull your hair off trying to just get them from point A to point B. Then there's the next step down in terms of frustrating, which is the people with the ego. Because what I find with these guys is they will semi-listen to you to a point, but the moment that there's a zombie within their range, they will ignore you and start punching and attacking the other zombies, and it's infuriating when this happens. And then there's a third type as well, which are a bit more like in the middle ground. They will just go wherever you tell them to. These are the best ones in the game. I love these guys. It's like, go here, and they go here. However, these are the rarest ones. And even when the AI is cooperative with you, the pathfinding is a pain in the ass sometimes. I've had more than a number of issues where the AI will just get stuck on walls, or they'll get stuck on like some potted plant or something stupid like that. And it's infuriating. In fact, out of all of the stuff in this game that I think could have used an update or could have used an overhaul, it's probably the AI. Everything else I love, but the AI, oh, it's frustrating. But it kind of answers the challenge of it all as well, because you've got to really figure out how to manipulate them in certain instances. You also need to be careful too if they are swarmed by zombies, because you have the ability to hurt the AI as well. So you can hurt the zombies, obviously, but the survivors you can also hurt. So I've had a few instances where I've actually kind of screwed myself over by killing them by accident. In fact, I was playing a bit of this earlier on, and there's a specific survivor that you meet up called Greg. And if you meet up with this guy, he will actually give you a hint. He will tell you a shortcut that you can go to get from one end of the mall to the other with little effort. I accidentally killed him, and unfortunately, due to the way this game's programmed, even though I know where the shortcut is, I need him to show me it before it becomes accessible. So I kind of screwed myself out of ever having that shortcut in my game, which, let's just say there were a few curse words thrown about, shall we say. But yeah, the story itself is basically you're Frank West. You're a photojournalist, you're exploring this mall, and you're just trying to uncover what happened here, why are there zombies everywhere, what is going on. This ends up becoming like a big terrorist plot with a huge government cover-up. And I'm not going to spoil elements of the story, but trust me, the story is actually really good. And it plays itself really straight, which actually adds a lot to the humor, weirdly enough, because it's kind of got that sort of like dry sense of campy humor, where you have this situation, the characters are taking it all dead seriously, but some of the dialogue is extremely goofy. Some of the animations the characters have are incredibly goofy. And one of the cool things about this game is you can customize how you look entirely. So you can pop into a cutscene using a mask from Mega Man Legends, where you have those big yellow surf bots. You can have one of their heads attached to you, and you look like an absolute psychopath as you're progressing through. It's insane. Same goes with like a Mega Man costume. You can run through this entire game cosplaying as Mega Man if you like, and I absolutely adore that you can do that. That's usually what my go-to costume is anyway. I'm always running through as the Blue Bomber himself. Because, someone's got to give the Blue Bomber a bit of love. I mean, Capcom certainly doesn't that much. But ultimately, like, this game has been an absolute treat for me to revisit. Like, it holds up exceptionally well. I have enjoyed every single moment of me playing this through again. And once you beat the main 72-hour mode as well, you get more unlockables. Like, you can actually fail the main storyline, for instance, and if you do succeed in doing the main storyline successfully, you unlock something called Overtime Mode, which acts like an epilogue to the game. But if you do fail the main storyline, the game just doesn't stop playing. You can still play the game with the story missions failed. Because the way the game is sort of built up is like you just have this overarching timer and things happen periodically as time moves on. So if you fail the main story, you can keep playing. And as you keep playing, you will still level up, Frank. You'll still get more and more experience, which will unlock new skills and increase your stats, allowing you to effectively do one ending and then come back with your newfound experience and stats and have an easier time the next time around. This is definitely one of those games that, while it's possible to complete properly on your first playthrough, the game isn't designed to expect you to beat this game on your first playthrough. It expects you to fail, play through one of the endings, then come back to the game with more power and then maybe complete it on your next run through. It's really well built like that. On top of that as well, you've got boss fights throughout the course of the game called psychopaths that you get to fight. And these are an absolute highlight. I'm not going to go too crazy in detail here because there are a lot of surprises involving them. But you've got this clown called Adam. He's one of the most well-known characters in this entire game. And he is a fan favorite for good reason. Which, you know, if you don't like clowns, you don't want to play this game because he will freak you out. But, you know, as a boss fight, he's a really well done boss. He's really fun. Then you got the likes of a boss called Cletus, who owns the gun shop, and you want to beat him in order to gain access to guns. I'm going to be honest, Cletus is a bloody nightmare to fight because he constantly shoots you with a shotgun that I'm convinced is an automatic shotgun with how quickly he shoots at you. But when you know how to handle him, you can handle him easy enough, but he is quite a challenging boss. And you kind of have to think around the box on how to actually fight him, which is really cool and really clever. All of them have like humongous personalities. They are fantastic characters through and through. And ultimately, Dead Rising, it holds up exceptionally well. This is an incredibly fun game that I loved all the way through. And I'm so glad that I picked this game to replay. Because I used to play this back in the day on the Xbox 360, and I loved it back then. But I've had such a huge break. I've never even played the sequels properly either. Like, I own the entire Dead Rising catalog, but I've only ever completed the original. So what I might do now is I might actually go back to Dead Rising 2, maybe play it in co-op with a friend, and see what I missed out. But I'm going to have a bit of a break from that first. My next video is probably going to be on Mega Man ZX, because that's a game I've never played. And it's been in my Steam library for ages, and I've been in a Blue Bomber mood. I've been in a Mega Man mood, so I might go and get my thoughts on that next. But for now, that's all I had to say about Dead Rising. Fantastic game through and through. I've really enjoyed my time revisiting it. And ultimately, I'm going to probably keep playing it more and more and more, honestly. It's really great fun.